welcome to Past, Present, and Future, or Three Questions, the podcast where we learn about people's career journeys, how they got to where they are today, and where they'd like to go to next. I'm Parrots Cohen, a technologist and a wordsmith, and in my time in industry, I've been fortunate to work with both large companies and small startups, alongside a number of very talented and hardworking individuals. This podcast is some of my conversations with them, where we learn about their journeys and what motivates them. If you'd like to be in the podcast, please feel free to reach out. You don't have to have a certain level of seniority or a number of years of experience. We all have something to share and learn from each other. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast or get involved in the collaboration, we'd also like to hear from you. All right, looking forward to our journey together as we learn more about each other and enrich ourselves in the process. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Today we have an amazing guest with us. We have Michael. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for us. It's great to be looking forward to it.
All right, let's start at the beginning. What is the beginning? What is the genesis of your career story?
I would honestly have to say that it started back in fourth grade. For me, the seed was planted around that time when a friend of mine had gotten a Commodore 64 computer, and we were all envious of him. And I really, really wanted a computer as well. So I finally convinced my parents to get me a Commodore 64. And from then on, I was hooked. Of course, it all started with a great interest in being able to play video games on the computer back then. But it quickly evolved into being able to control it. I started exploring things like Commodore Basic, and it's like, this is amazing. I can actually enter some keywords or perhaps even copy content out of these magazines at the time. You had to copy code to actually get it to run. And the computer would do some magical things. And fast forward from there into college, and that interest continued to stay with me. I went to college for applied computer science, minored in business administration. I was in the honors program at my college at the time, which means that you could decide what you wanted to work on for your capstone project, and I wanted to work on a video game. So I got to actually build my own video game written in C and some inline assembly language for 3 credit hours as part of my capstone project. And I learned a great deal because it sort of brought all these concepts together for computer science for me. Things like being able to manipulate computer registers, being able to sync with the vertical retrace of the monitor so you had a little bit smoother scrolling for the video game. Things like creating my own parallax background as the game flowed. And again, this is back before you had libraries like Unity 3D. So you tend to learn a lot more, I think, by understanding what's happening at the lower level. Right after college, I went to work right away. I joined a local technology consulting company. They had a national presence, but they were based in Chicago. And it was wonderful because right off the gate, I got to see different customers. I got to work on different projects that they had. Every customer was different, obviously. And I just kept that going. I got to experience both large and small companies. As the interest in technologies evolved, so did the kinds of projects that I worked on. Eventually landed at Microsoft for my first tour. Worked with a lot of larger companies. I kind of did a 10-year walkabout from Microsoft, where I worked for a smaller company for personal reasons. My son was born, and I wanted to kind of do less travel and so forth. But that was also fantastic because I got to work with smaller software development teams. And we were really embracing Agile back then. Like, this was Agile in its heyday. So I got to ride the wave, the curve, I guess, between like XP, Agile, Scrum, all those things. So a lot of the cultural aspects about how do you develop software in a way that is sustainable, but also create that culture of the development team to be able to move forward and be able to actually build high performing teams as part of that, which was a great experience. And then from there, I went back to another large company, Deloitte. I got, again, some wonderful experiences there. Mainly, I got to lead a wonderful group of architects, working with a number of technology leaders, basically senior developers, and building a platform It was my first platform. It was a tax like microservices platform, um, and that drove most of Deloitte's U.S. tax revenue business. And I think to some degree that platform still exists today, and it's still still alive and running in some shape or form. But it was a wonderful time, great experience, great immersion in technology. That was also around the same time I transitioned to the cloud space, because this was right before you had the opportunity to actually use um, cloud technologies to dynamically scale your workloads. And so it's anyone that's built a platform without having access to that capability will tell you, you have to do a lot more planning. You have to kind of overspend. You have to do a lot more capital expenditures up front to make sure you have enough computing power and storage and all these other factors. Um, but we really, really wanted to use the cloud, and so I reached out to the CIO. It was actually the CTO at the time of US Deloitte. I said, hey, I want to work for your cloud platform team. And Deloitte was managing multiple clouds at the time. I said, sure, let me connect you. You talk to this person, pass the interview, you're in. So followed the process. I joined Deloitte's cloud platform team, and got to build out basically a way to manage. It was another platform, but it was, in this case, it was managing multiple clouds for Deloitte's entire business globally. And then from there, I really missed Microsoft, and I wanted to come back to Microsoft. So I made the move to come back and join the motherships, if you will. Continue to work on cloud and in the app innovation space with a lot of large customers. Um, Started slowly transitioning to doing more and more AI, and showcasing what AI could do for a lot of these customers back then. And yeah, and then moved from there to the engineering side from the field. So and that's eventually where I landed, which was under the cloud and AI space, in Scott Guthrie's organization, working with a number of different engineering teams.
That's an incredible journey. And I think, I know for myself as well, I think when you have that initial moment of when you kind of fall in love with technology, you fall in love with tech, that really kind of allows you to go on a lot of different kind of trails and journeys within this space, especially when you merge that with other, like, as you understand the business realities or understand how the business functions, you can really merge those two together to have a lot of impact and to work on a lot of really, really cool and exciting projects. Um, yeah, coming into the present moment, you're on the cusp of a new adventure, of something new. Um, what excites you in the future, the short term, the long term, as it relates to AI or other technologies or other areas that you feel like we really want to be a part of?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's an interesting time. There's so much opportunity. This is another major wave of technology. I think we all recognize, if we've been in technology long enough, you recognize these waves that occur. And this is certainly one of those waves, and it's massive. Um, what excites me is kind of observing how it all will play out. I have my own thoughts on how this will take form and shape. I think there will be a little bit of interesting social challenges that we'll have to get through. But what I believe is going to happen eventually is, like, as human beings, we ultimately land on our feet, and I think we are adaptable creatures. I think AI is going to be a massive enabler for every one of us to be independently sustainable, to create sort of that ecosystem for ourselves that will allow us to move forward in a way that uh, syncs up to our passion, in a way that basically amplifies the interest that we have, and we want to bring to the world. You are in a situation now where you do not necessarily need to have the kind of knowledge that you would traditionally get from going to an academic institution or from years of experience to be able to at least start delving into that space and capitalizing on it. And this is what AI, and a lot of the tooling in AI today is shifting towards, is sort of being that companion and helping you bridge whatever gaps you have. And all it takes is for you to believe and have that creativity and have that entrepreneurial spirit to actually apply it in ways that that still bring value, right? And how that value manifests depends very much on different factors. For instance, yes, you could use AI to build a typical business um, where you are bringing some material object to market, let's say a product. AI can help you with the initial planning. It can help you with the logo design, the labeling. It can help you with the logistics, a number of ways, right? That you don't necessarily need to go find an expert or a team of experts to assist you in that space today. You could also build using AI tools and capabilities that support other people's efforts in their use of AI. So that's a great space to be as well. This reminds me of sort of the API wave, right, where everybody started building APIs, and we were marketing and selling APIs as part of SaaS platforms. There's just tremendous opportunity all around. I think what will happen though, I think we'll start seeing communities. Well, Meta being sort of a canonical example of Facebook and so forth. They're great at doing this, right? I think we'll start seeing more and more communities of independent entrepreneurs linked together through AI and AI tools. In a sense where if I have a business idea or concept, I can join this community. I can even work with the tools that are available as part of this community to help get my idea to flourish and get it to actual production, if you will. But along the way, perhaps this community can help connect me with other entrepreneurs that have their own capabilities and services that could actually help or are synergistic with my idea. So that could be the future Facebook, if you will. And it's a massive enabler where you no longer have this dependency on somebody else and somebody else sort of steering your ship.
So really kind of like the theme kind of what you're sharing, and I think it's a theme of amplification. So whether it's in your own individual interests and enabling them, or in terms of social networks not just being nodes of individual interests, but actually nodes of commerce and nodes of shared activity, nodes of exploration, innovation. And I think that kind of in the earlier phases of the web, there are communities that try to kind of branch up around that. But when you have the tooling that enables you to not just kind of riff on a discussion thread, but actually bring products to market, it really does unlock a whole nother new dimension. That's really, really powerful. I guess my final question for you today would be, we're talking about the future, and the future is uncertain, but kind of along the way, what is something that you learned in terms of steering your career along its path and when to kind of go towards certain opportunities? Or what is something you wish you would have known earlier on in your career as it relates to how you design your career, or certain technologies you wish you would have delved into more? Yeah.
It's an interesting question. There's I'm not even sure that there would be an answer that I can give you that says I really wish I would have done this, because I landed in a particular situation right now where I've done so many different things in my career. I've seen so many different kinds of roles. Um, I I'm interested in taking that experience and somehow channeling it where I can help others, whether it's building world-class teams that build world-class platforms that are modern in nature, have AI embedded in it, and maybe even structuring that social um, that social cultural connection and what that looks like. Being on the vanguard of that, I think is important to me. Like making sure that humans and people still have a place, because I think that is ultimately what drives success for companies. I don't think it's going to be a company that has zero culture but has massively efficient AI. I don't think that's going to work. And I think because at the end of the day, people are at the center of everything. So when I look back on my own course and my own progress, my own path, if you will, it sort of led me through these experiences. But at the heart of all these experiences, what I remember is the people that I've worked with, and that's what I've taken away. It's not necessarily the tech, it's not necessarily the system. It's what did I learn from this experience? How did this interaction help me? It could be early on in my career, a pair programming experience. Well, that was great, but pair programming is all about like helping each other, right? You're helping overcome each other's limitations or perhaps biases or blind spots, and improving the end product as a result. It's about tapping into the personal connection and how people can actually make technology even better through this application. I think that's the best use moving forward in terms of how AI itself is adopted in industry. It's how do you marry the two together, where you take the strengths of individuals and people and the connection that people have with the strengths that AI and this kind of tech can bring to produce an even better society, an even better product, uh, an even better life for everybody. So for me personally, moving forward, I'm exploring opportunities to be an entrepreneur. I'm thinking about bringing my own products to market. I'm looking at opportunities where I can share the breadth of my experience at an organization. I'd love to kind of shift into that mode where, I want to kind of embrace that servant mentality and say, how can I pass this on to this next generation, and kind of create this funnel, this path of success moving forward. That's really what excites me. It's just like being um, being at the center of this and really kind of passing on what I feel I've been blessed with to have this diverse background of experiences.
Yeah, the two things like stick out for me, I think, is definitely I've had a career that's also kind of been diverse as well. And I think viewing it for what it is in terms of like the strength and how it enables you to share that experience with others. So when you join a new team, you're able to kind of see things from a different perspective through that lens. And on to the second piece you shared about in terms of culture, I think it's being in tech for a while, you definitely see just how the internal culture impacts the end product and how product decisions are made, what is shown to the user, and how the user is considered. And all those things are so integral and important. Um, Thank you so much for joining the show today. Shared with us a lot of really interesting things. I really enjoyed your take in AI and where this leads us to the future. So thank you so much.
So it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.